Good morning, folks. I know I didn't do a video last week. I've been dealing with my truck, my pickup truck, and been in and out of the shop for the last 2 weeks. It's in the shop this weekend. I probably won't get it back till Monday because we're waiting on the dealer part. So, uh, hopefully that will sort itself out, right? Which is one of the reasons why I decided to make this video. You know, we as preppers, we prepare for everything, right? One of those things is I'm sure that you've all heard about food and water and, hey, let's have duct tape, let's have screws, let's have bolts, let's have wood for building things, let's have hand tools, yada, 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 right? But the practicality of being able to be resilient and bounce back and have other ways to do things is something that isn't really focused on, right? Um, One of those is because my truck was down, I had to find another way to work, right? So I'm blessed to have a coworker who lives in my area, and I was able to carpool with him. Now, I don't like carpooling anybody any more than the next person, right? But that is a practical prep, right? So when you look at being practical in your preparations, you need to think about that. You also need to think about, okay, do I have enough set aside in case something happens, right? Because nobody talks about this, right? Like if your stove goes out, if your refrigerator goes out, do I have enough set aside to possibly cover that expense? Or do I have the means to, buy a credit card to be able to take care of that expense so that my family is taken care of? That's what I call practical prepping, right? And it is not something that I feel a lot of people talk about. Another thing with practical prepping, right? You go to your day to day work, right? And a lot of people, they only take the tools that they require for work. Well, what happens if you break down on the side of the highway, right? Um, do you have a spare tire? Do you have oil? Do you have antifreeze? I mean, that's practical, right? That's not covered um a lot in prepping channels, right? Um so think about that in your day to day, okay? Uh here's one. Do you carry a pocket knife? A pocket knife can act as a screwdriver. It can cut small kindling if you have to start a fire. It can help you in many many ways. Okay, and it's just practical to have a small pocket knife with you. Okay, uh, and you can go down the whole list of what you would need, but practically, we can't carry all this stuff with us. A good way of looking at this is, look at what Army soldiers, when they go to the field, what they carry with them. Okay? They carry a sleeping tent, they got a sleeping bag, they got a bedroll, they've got at least a day's worth of food and water, right? But on their day to day, normally what they're carrying with them is only what they're going to need for that day because they expect their team to extract them at the end of the day. But let's say that you're stuck out and now you're looking at, okay, I've got to walk 4 miles to get to where I need to be? Do you have comfortable shoes? Don't get me wrong, dressing up is nice, right? Wearing heels is nice. Being in a nice dress is nice. But you should have just basic things with you at all times, in your vehicle, particularly. A blanket, right? Not telling you what kind to get, but a blanket of any kind will serve you well, okay? Uh, a day's worth of food and water. So that doesn't require a whole bunch of space, right? You can have like a can of ravioli, right? A couple cans of Vienna sausage, maybe some crackers, right, to go with it. Uh, a canteen of water, right? You should have this in a backpack, and you should have a first aid kit at all times, right? Um, that's called practical prepping. So you're going to prepare for you to get back to your base location. Okay? So look at, take the time, research it, and see what works for you. Another thing that's practical prepping, insurance, right? Do you have insurance on items? Right, that's practical, right? You have medical insurance, right? I'm sure. Do you have insurance on your home? Do you have insurance on your vehicle? Do you carry insurance for things of high value, right? In case they get stolen or broken. That's practical, right? That's practical prepping. So when you look at prepping, that's how you should look at it, as practical, right? Um, and so I wanted to give this small video because this week and last week have just really made me realize that, okay, yeah, this is something that needs to be discussed, because me trying to find a way to and from work, and I didn't have those plans in place, right? That really made me realize that there are certain gaps, right, that all of us experience when we're prepping. Okay, there's certain gaps. Like, I keep enough money in my account to cover my bills for a month, but I didn't think about if my vehicle broke, right? So here we are, uh, down with no vehicle pretty much for a week and a half. And if I didn't have my preps at home, and if I didn't have the coworker to ride with, I would have been really in a bad situation, right? Because not only am I losing the ability to go places, right? Which I really don't like, right? I like to be able to go if I need to, but lost the ability to get back and forth to work, which means money out of my pocket, right? Um, so when you're prepping, think about this, right? And I know with the price of things that trying to put money to the side is extremely difficult, okay? I would suggest, if you can, just take a couple dollars a week and put it somewhere. And that way, if something happens, you have it. Now, the other thing along with that is, don't get the mentality that, oh, I have this money so I can go and buy this and this and this. Don't do that. That's your emergency fund. That's an insurance fund. Okay. And that's there for emergencies. It's not there for you to go buy, oh, that nice shiny handbag or that nice shiny new pressure canner or, you name it, right? Be practical. Yes, it's nice to have all these things. And it's nice to be able to go and buy what you want, right? But being practical means that it comes through your day to day life, right? So, is it practical for you to go and spend $7 every day for a cup of coffee when you can make that same coffee at home and save that $7? Is it practical for you to go to fast food restaurants for lunch when you can carry your lunch and save that money? So, this is what I mean by practical, right? And I don't think that a lot of people touch on this because, we as Americans have become so consumer oriented that we want things immediately, right? That's not practical. To stay debt free, you see what you want and you save for it. You don't just go throw it on the credit card, which I understand that a lot of people now are pretty much living on their credit card. I get that, right? Um, you got to do what you got to do to make sure your family's fed and the lights are kept on, right? Um, but try and be practical about what you're getting, right? Look at your day to day and, just take certain steps to be absolutely practical in what you do. One of those steps, like I said, having a pocket knife. I mean, a pocket knife is great to have, and a lot of women don't carry it because, uh, it's a guy thing, right? But if you approach things from a practical standpoint, you'll see what I'm talking about, right? Because you'll start to see, oh, yeah, it's kind of practical that I keep a pen on me. It's kind of practical that I keep a small notebook on me. So if I need to write something down, I have it, right? And I do a lot of that at my work, right? So it's small little things can save you in the long run, right? I mean, it's practical that you know how to add oil or check your oil or change a tire, right, on your vehicle and have the equipment on your vehicle that you need to do that. That's practical, okay? And you need to do that, right? As a prepper, we get so caught up in the new prepper thing, right? We got to have this and we got to have that and we got to have this and we got to have that, that a lot of times the practicality gets lost, right, in all the confusion and the loudness of the world, right? We lose the practicality of things. So that's my video for this week, and I thought maybe if I can get you to think a little bit along those lines, maybe it would make a little bit more sense than, uh, oh, here you go. If something was to happen right now, the reality is, would I get to my bug out location? No, it wouldn't be practical. So the reality is you got to take your circumstances and apply it to you. You've got to figure out what is practical for me and mine, right? Is it practical for you to use a credit card to pay the electric bill so that you can go and spend $300 on a family dinner? No, that's not practical. Okay? That's putting yourself into debt slavery. Because let's be honest, once you're in debt, you become a slave to that debt because you have to pay the interest on that debt. And if all you do is pay the minimum, you're going to see your debt go up and up and up and up and up because the interest is going to be more than the minimum payment. Just so you know. Right. So be practical in using things in your day-to-day life. So if you do have to use credit cards, which I'm probably going to have to do with my truck, uh, try and pay that off as quickly as possible. And that's to save you on the interest, right? Now, it's these small things that you do that will lead you to having a debt-free lifestyle, right? So if you start taking small little practical steps, and that will slowly start to transform your life. It's not an easy road. I'll be the first to admit that to you. It's not easy, right? Because we get bombarded by price increases. We get bombarded by bills that are absolutely ridiculous, right? But you have to take it step by step, day by day, and just be practical in what you're doing. And think about just simple practicality, right? And run scenarios in your mind. What could happen if this happened? Do I have a way out of here if this happens, right? Um, but be resilient enough that when something totally throws you off your game, that you can stand back up and go, okay, let's switch gears. We're going to switch to this now, right? So you got to develop that resilience and practicality in everything that you do. And I don't think a lot of the big YouTubers actually talk about that, right? It is not, oh, I've got $50,000 in the bank and I can go do whatever I want. That's not the point that I'm talking about, right? Because trust me, I don't. Most people I know don't. We're lucky to have $100 in the account, right? Uh, but if you're practical about things and you go at it with a logical standpoint, step by step, and it could only be you save a quarter a week, right? That could be all you can do. But I'm going to tell you something. At the end of the year, you're going to look at those stack of quarters and you're going to go, wow, look what I saved. Even though I went through all this, I saved this, right? And that doesn't sound like a lot. It really doesn't. But if you take it from a practical standpoint, I can save this, I can do this. right? Instead of buying this, which is all nice and shiny and new, I can buy this over here, which is a lot cheaper, and will do the same thing. That's practical, right? Bicycle.